So tell me about the campaign. How's it going?
Campaign's busy. Campaign's intense, but in all the good ways. You know, I love this state, and I've seen my mission as a senator to protect our way of life. My mom was a Coloradan through and through. I feel this place. I've got river water from the Poudre, the Arkansas, the Colorado in my veins. And as I travel the state, people want us to keep moving forward. And if you look at my record, that's what I've done. I've kept the state moving forward. Everything from making sure we take care of our veterans in the Springs to having a combat aviation brigade at Fort Carson to preparing for wildfires and recovering from the Waldo Canyon fire. There's a lot we've been able to do in El Paso County to keep the state moving forward.
When you think about that southern Colorado, what's your message to voters in that area who will be at the ballot box?
My message is, look, we're on our way back economically, but we got more to do. We got to raise the minimum wage. Let's pass the Paycheck Fairness Act. That would require women to be paid as much as men for doing the same job. Let's make college more affordable. Let's make sure that we've got a smart and tough national security policy. I'm really privileged to be on the Armed Services Committee and the Intelligence Committee, and I've got a great deal of affection and respect for the people in Colorado Springs and El Paso County.
What do you think the single most important thing facing voters in this state is right now?
I think the most important thing is how do we ensure that this economic recovery lifts everybody? And that's why I'm focused on ensuring that we have a broad-based energy economy, that we pursue a best of the above. We got renewables, we got natural gas, we've got the National Renewable Energy Lab, which is doing all this great research. It's why I want to make sure that our public lands are protected, because our recreation economy is a big deal. We've got over 100,000 people and $10 billion in revenue every year. That's skiing, hunting, fishing. We want to make sure that we protect our water and that we conserve it and utilize it for both ag and municipal uses. So there's a lot to do. There's a lot of good news here in Colorado, but again, my focus is on the middle class, making sure people feel like their children are going to have a better future than they've had.
Do you think that's a concerning point for people who are, working paycheck to paycheck, or living? What makes you the most qualified to address those things and actually get them done?
Yeah, I think if you look at my record, I work across the aisle. I've got a set of accomplishments that have involved reaching out to people. Look at the Pinyon Canyon debate that we had. The Army they thought more training area in Pinyon Canyon. The ranchers were really worried that would disrupt their way of life. I got all those various groups together, and late last year everybody signed a memorandum of understanding that would provide that the Army can continue to train. That's important for our national security. It's important for Colorado Springs. But that the ranchers down there would know that there would be no expansion. That's the way I work. The Forest Service just recently said they were going to restrict ski areas' access to streams. Those ski areas need that water to make snow. I stepped up and said to the Forest Service, this doesn't make sense to me. Let's work together and find a way that we protect the fisheries and protect those streams, but also make sure the ski industry can thrive. And we've reached an agreement. I'm working up in Chaffee County, which is, of course, just a short drive from the Springs, to set aside a new national monument up there, Browns Canyon. And I've worked from the bottom up with the people in that area to craft a bill that the county commissioners support, they're Republicans, the voters support, and they're a mixture of political affiliations. But the point is to protect our way of life, but also enhance the economic opportunities in Chaffee County.
What differentiates you between yourself to Cory Gardner?
Yeah, I think on almost every major issue there's a difference between Congressman Gardner and me. You look at everything from a woman's right to make her own health care choices, to climate change, to marriage equality, to immigration reform. I'm supportive of making progress in those areas, of putting reforms in place. Congressman Gardner's approach in the House has been to reject all of those approaches. And on almost every major issue, there's just a fundamental difference between Congressman Gardner and me. And the election should be about choices. They should be a competition over ideas and the direction of the state. And if you look at my record and your objective, you'll see I want to move the state forward. And frankly, a lot of things that Congressman Gardner has done or not done that would move the state backwards.
Why make an issue of his pro-life stance?
This is, in an important difference between Congressman Gardner and me. A woman's right to make her own health care choices is an economic issue, and it's an issue of respect. And Congressman Gardner's built his career on efforts to limit women's choices. Women make up over 50% of the population. Congressman Gardner supported a proposal called personhood, which would ban almost all forms of contraception and limit almost all access to abortion services. These are personal topics. I don't relish talking about them, but there's a real difference here in respect for women making their own decisions, and there's a lack of understanding that these are economic issues, and these are issues that ought to be left to a woman and her family. Judges, congressmen, bosses shouldn't get in the middle of those decisions.
Now, he says you're mischaracterizing it, that it doesn't ban abortion, that it merely defines life as beginning at conception.
If you listen to objective observers and fact checkers, they will tell you that it does ban most forms of contraception. It does criminalize almost all access to abortion services. Don't take it from me. Take it from people like Planned Parenthood. Take it from the OBGYN community. They have grave concerns about what these laws would do. And Congressman Gardner has long proposed them. In fact, he said he no longer supported the state personhood measure, but he's on the federal bill. The federal bill is no different from the state bill. So I don't understand Congressman Gardner. He says one thing here, another thing in Washington. I think most Coloradans tell me, just butt out. Let us make our own personal decisions. Coloradans are fiercely independent. They protect their freedom to make their own personal decisions, and that's the difference between the two of us. Look, he can have his point of view, but my point of view is in the mainstream. It's where Coloradans are.
One of the other things that's been brought up is your voting record with, when it comes to aligning with President Obama and some of the issues that he's pushed. Are you proud of that?
Look, you can take numbers and manipulate them in any number of ways, obviously. When I agree with the President of the United States, I stand with the President of the United States. We want the President of the United States to succeed, because we all succeed. Let me give you a couple of examples. President Bush proposed that we go into Afghanistan and take out Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. I was right there with him. When he proposed we go into Iraq, I thought we ought to finish the job in Afghanistan, and I took a different point of view. President Obama has supported through the NSA and the CIA spying on Americans. I've stood up to him and said, I don't agree with that. President Obama, I thought, should have embraced the budget deficit proposal that Simpson and Bowles put in place 3 years ago. I made it clear I didn't agree with his stance in that regard. When President Obama wanted to go into Syria and Iraq, and where we are today, I support him because it makes sense. And when both presidents wanted comprehensive immigration reform, I supported those presidents. If you look at the body of my work, the body of my work goes right down the center of what Coloradans expect. I'm getting things done, and mere scorecards don't give you the whole story. If you want to go to a scorecard, Congressman Gardner is the 10th most conservative member of the House of Representatives. Tom Tancredo never got below 50. It gives you a sense of how conservative and how partisan Congressman Gardner is.
Lastly, to what lengths should we go to protect Americans from ISIS? Do you bring up a good point?
Yeah, ISIS is a serious threat. It's time right now to knock them back. Here's how we do it. We use air power. We call on the Arab governments and the moderate Sunnis to get much more involved than they have been. We also demand that the Iraqi government be more inclusive. That's where ISIL got its momentum. The former Iraqi prime minister tried to create a Shia-only government. It's backfired. Finally, I oppose putting boots on the ground at this point because this has to be an Arab-led effort. I'm confident, given what we know and what we've learned over the last 12 years in the Middle East, that we've got the right formula. I'm going to stay on top of it. We need to continue to have debates about the best way to meet this threat, but we should take it very seriously.